Welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, to another very interesting Spider-Man related video, not necessarily relating to the video game side of things that I usually love to discuss on this channel, but for today's topic, it actually pertains to the movie/TV side of Spider-Man media with a recent deal that has fallen through with Sony and Netflix. Now, before we even begin the discussion, I do want to give a major shout out to my best buds, Brian and Brendan, from the Comics Wire podcast. I was invited as a special guest on their channel a couple days ago. I had a blast talking with them about Spider-Man, Marvel, DC, games, movies, etc. It was amazing. We had a great topic discussion about everything that you can think of that you love within those mediums, and I had a wonderful time myself just being able to just unload all my current thoughts on what's going on right now with Marvel and DC and just things in general that if you haven't heard me talk on this channel, you can watch on their channel, and I will leave it as a link in the description below. Definitely go check it out. It would mean the world to me and to them. They were amazing, and I had a wonderful time doing so. Now, as for what exactly this deal between Netflix and Sony involves, I do believe it does hold a lot more in it than originally meets the eye, and could possibly hold a bigger and brighter future for the Spider-Man property on that streaming service. But for starters, to read a tweet coming directly from Netflix's own Twitter page, it does state, starting in 2022, Netflix will be the first US streaming home for Sony Pictures films following their theatrical releases. Get ready for Uncharted, Morbius, Bullet Train, plus future sequels to Venom, Jumanji, Bad Boys, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So if you're someone who's not really in the know as to how these streaming services operate, we do obviously have Disney Plus, which features the majority of the Disney-owned properties, and of course Disney owns Marvel, which is why you don't really see a whole lot of Marvel movies on Netflix. And for Warner Bros, they do have HBO/HBO Max, of course, recently released with the Snyder Cut, the big Justice League 4-hour-long epic from Zack Snyder, of course. And Sony, though, with their own properties, not just related to Spider-Man, but their own individual movies that are under that company umbrella, they don't have their own streaming service like Hulu or Crackle or something like that. But now we do have this partnership between the two with Netflix and Sony, and knowing that every future property that Sony owns, including that of Spider-Man, will be put onto the Netflix streaming service is very interesting to see where these properties, movies, TV shows, whatever it may be, can garner even more of an audience in the future. Because, of course, sadly, the whole production aspect of movies and TV shows have been halted recently due to the pandemic. Granted, things are getting better now with vaccines, but as of late, and if you have seen one of my previous videos, it was reported that the video game industry have actually garnered more revenue than both the North American film industry and sports industry combined. So seeing that things are starting to slowly but surely get back to normal when it comes to actual terms of media consumption, with that of theaters and releases with big budget movies, but also recently that hasn't really been the case with some people due to them wanting to watch a film at home, safe and sound, not worrying about the possibility of getting exposed to the virus by going outside or a crowded, cramped theater experience like watching, for example, Godzilla vs. Kong in IMAX. Although you are able to do that, notice how they still release that movie directly to video on demand with that of HBO and something like that. So seeing how Sony is doing the exact same thing here with Netflix not only is a smart move to get more audience members to watch their films, but it's also embracing the fact of social distancing and just being safe overall, which I do personally appreciate. But there's also a lot more relating to the possible Spider-Man aspect of where we can see even more theatrical releases directly be inputted into Netflix. And to read this recent IGN article directly to give you all a better perspective as to what exactly is the ins and outs of this deal, it does state that Netflix and Sony Pictures have struck a deal that will keep upcoming Spider-Man films and other selections from Sony Pictures on Netflix after they finish in theaters, as the Wall Street Journal reports. The reportedly multi-year contract will start with Sony's 2022 film slate, Netflix will have first-look rights to movies Sony is producing or licensing for streaming platforms. The number of films Netflix has committed to ordering is currently undisclosed. Notably, the deal doesn't stop Sony from selling streaming rights to other platforms. Sources speaking to Variety also said that the deal itself will amount to a record-setting sum for a pay-one window agreement. The deal is reportedly set to last 5 years, and the New York Times reports that Netflix will pay about $1 billion to Sony for over 4 years. Sony can make a pay-one window agreement such as this in part because it doesn't have its own streaming platform like Disney Plus or HBO Max. So in turn, what has Netflix definitely earned for its money? Well, as Wall Street Journal reports that the future Spider-Man movies will land on Netflix following their theatrical runs. However, currently at this time, it is unclear if Tom Holland's Spider-Man No Way Home is included in the deal. Along with other Marvel characters Sony still holds the rights to, like Jared Leto's Morbius and Tom Hardy's Venom. Netflix will also license certain older Sony picture films. And to wrap up the article itself, Netflix and Sony's relationship has strengthened in recent years, with the studios agreeing on streaming rights for Sony's animated films, including Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And as I briefly mentioned earlier, Sony's announcement certainly hopes to assuage any fears that it's looking at letting go of theatrical releases in a world complicated by COVID-19. And with the final statement from Sony themselves, they do state that the deal will be additive to its theatrical schedule, which will continue at its current volume. So basically, as a TLDR version of that entire article, Sony is still planning to completely launch their upcoming film slate with theatrical releases, like that of course with Spider-Man No Way Home, which as of right now is said to only release in theaters, but following that, in 2022, then Sony will be able to release said movies, whether that be Spider-Man or some of their other projects, straight onto Netflix, which I do think is a very smart idea from them to, again, get more audience members to watch their products, but also to be socially safe if you're not willing to go out to a movie theater just yet to watch a big movie like Spider-Man No Way Home. Since that is planned to release in December of 2021, you can then wait a couple months when the deal takes place in 2022, and then say, hey, I can then watch Spider-Man straight from Netflix, which I do think is, again, very smart, and allows for a lot of creative freedom, which I'm very excited about, for Sony to possibly expand their deal with Netflix to potentially create Netflix original Sony projects with the license that they do have with Marvel, which of course is pertaining to Spider-Man characters. That's why we currently have the SUMC right now, the Sony Universe of Marvel characters, with Venom, with Morbius. I do believe there's also a Spider-Woman movie or TV series made directed by Olivia Wilde, which I'm actually personally kind of interested in seeing how that turns out, as well as, of course, Into the Spider-Verse 2. So there's a lot of different Spider-Man related projects in the works at Sony for live action or animation. However, if they do want to continue this deal with Netflix, considering the massive lineup of shows they already have on that platform with their Netflix original titles, I believe Stranger Things is one of them, one of my personal favorite shows, they could then hopefully launch a deal to create a potential series involving either Spider-Man or a Spider-Man related character from Sony onto Netflix. And I think that would be absolutely insane, and again, would actually be a cool way to kind of innovate the properties even further. You see massive success right now with WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier on Disney+. Loki is also getting a lot of traction with the recent trailers, so people are going to be hyped for that, and all these characters getting their own individual TV shows to expand their lore and their universe and the character itself. I think it'd be very cool to incorporate that into a Spider-Man property as well. Would that be a Peter Parker-oriented Spider-Man series that's not Tom Holland? Maybe Miles, maybe Miguel O'Hara, maybe an animated Spider-Man series. We do know there's also that deal between Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who of course are the producers of Into the Spider-Verse, and I do believe they're also plan to make more Spider-Man-centric shows or something. I could be wrong about that, but it's just a very interesting time to be a fan of Spider-Man in this medium of live action or television, and animation as well, and even games, just all around pretty much, and seeing where Sony could take the properties that they do have the rights to and use that to their advantage. And seeing how Netflix is kind of like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, streaming services out there, I definitely think this is a great move on their part, and I'm very curious to see where this could go next. I know for me personally, I've already stated previously, I'm not too hyped for No Way Home right now, and I do believe the last movie that I saw in theaters before the pandemic occurred was like Ford versus Ferrari, like that Christian Bale car movie, which I really was a fan of, and I haven't been to the theaters since, so I kind of feel a bit skeptical as of right now to actually attend a movie theater once No Way Home releases. I don't know if I'll even see it in theaters. I might see it even, thanks to this deal, on Netflix, maybe a couple months after the movie releases, and just watch it from the safety of my own home. But it's very interesting to see where Sony can go forward with this deal, and I'm personally very curious and excited to see what steps they'll take to hopefully do justice to the brand of Marvel and Spider-Man as a whole. But with all that said, everyone, that's the quick video that I have for you today. Let me know all your thoughts about this news in the comment section down below. Feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy. I know this wasn't like Spider-Man PS4 news or Miles Morales PS5 news or just gaming Spider-Man news in general, but I found this interesting. I wanted to share this with you and provide my thoughts, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And I would love to hear your feedback and, again, your thoughts about this topic down below. So thank you all so much for watching. More videos to come once more news arrives, of course. But until next time, stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Peace out.